Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Nice to see you. My name is Dustin Cormier, and this is How to Rock Astrology. We're continuing our reading on, on Light on Life, an introduction to the astrology of India. Today, always with the intro. We're still in Chapter 2 on talking about the philosophy of Jyotish. Our last video, we spoke a little bit to remedies. What remedies are and the consciousness of how remedies can be applied to the fixed and unfixed karmas of our past actions. The karmas that make up our present energy field. Now what's interesting is that there is a logic, a structure, a metaphysic to how our karmas have unfolded on Earth. And there is a metaphysical logic to how that which has come from the past can be spun, transmuted, and applied in order to affect the evolution of intelligence and consciousness towards a boutique and ideal state. There is an implied intelligence in creation according to Vedanga and Vedanta. And I find it amazing that these guys transmit the seeds of that evolution and of the light at the end of the tunnel that is the confusion of humans, of the soul evolving on planet Earth, being put through all the paces of karma. What does it all mean? Where's it all going? This chapter delves into an explanation for what I said in the last episode, which was that, astrology is not necessarily spiritual or religious, but most Vedic people would contend that religion and spirituality are inherently, at some level, astrological. I guess unless we're talking about that which is beyond karma. But then again, karma really is that very fulcrum upon which soul retribution and the awakening of the Christ consciousness within is founded. What are we awakening from but our karmas and our past and the energy body we've been given? So the karma is important, but there is a way to spin it. And this book is going to start talking about how the grahas are the living Veda, the living omnipotent power of Ganesha in their own ways. So we're going to explore what I mean by that right now through the words of the authors that we came here to read. This is our next part of this chapter. This is a description of the grahas. Now, right away, the authors kind of get where I'm getting at here. While the question of... we talked about bija mantras as seed mantras which can allow... each planet has a seed mantra. Each limb of metaphysical dimension that it's represented by a planet has a bead mantra, which is a syllable, a sound that can be repeated and expressed in order to ground the person in the vibration of that archetype. We used bija mantras as a remedy. For example, if Venus is too weak in a chart and it's giving you complicated life, a complicated love life in this life, you can repeat the Venus bija mantra in order to help gain a grounding in what Venus is and how you can reapply your integration of the Venus principle in every moment in life that you get the chance to. When you wake up and you see your wife and you're used to just treating her like crap or something like that, just getting up and going to work, if you have the consciousness of the bija mantra, you can wake up and the Venus's reality is ringing through your consciousness, and that would naturally remind you to be more engaged in your love life, just as an example. Now, the question of precisely how a bija mantra works is beyond the scope of this book. But we can say that they enhance a planet's ability to influence consciousness. Planet is the best of a poor crop of English synonyms for the Sanskrit word graha. So graha is the Sanskrit word for one of the planets. A graha is literally a seizer. Think of the word like Caesar as an S-E-I-Z-E-R, like a grasper. That's where our word grasp comes from. So a graha is literally a seizer, one of a group of astral forces which can enter your organism and take control of your being. Like vidyas, the grahas grasp and possess you, but they do so in ways which are usually less pleasant and productive than the possession by vidyas. Vidyas being something like the possession of pure knowledge, such as Jyotish. Jyotishis are possessed of Jyotir Vidya, which means Vidya of light. So Vidyas are usually positive, prospective things. A graha, on the other hand, is a reflection of karma, for better or worse. A graha grabs hold of your being with its emanations and directs you, for better or worse, to perform particular actions that you might not otherwise perform, in pursuit of goals which may not agree with your personal dharma. The planets, who are the agents of the law of karma, direct you to experience at specific moments the reactions to the actions that you have previously performed. Your horoscope is a map of your karmas, drawn to the specifications of the 9 Caesars, the 9 grahas. Generally speaking, your individual karmas are stored in the warehouse of your causal body. It's the Vijnanamaya Kosha, the sheath made of transcendent wisdom. And your shared karmas, the karmas you share with your family, clan, and race, and with your fellow citizens in the city, region, and country in which you reside. These exist or are stored in your greater causal body, which is called the Anandamaya Kosha, the sheath made of bliss. As these karmas ripen to fruition, they project into the subtle or astral body, which is called the Manomaya Kosha, the sheath made of mind, the home of your self-image, where they affect the mind, particularly the manas, the moon mind, the personality, and in some ways the ego. The mind thereupon directs the etheric body, the pranamaya kosha. Note the word prana, which many people recognize as the electricity or the subtle motive agent or force which we have the ability to move, to direct, to control through pranayama. Yama meaning directing or controlling. So pranayama directs or controls the pranic etheric current. So the mind, after it's affected by any intent or will, the mind directs the etheric body, the pranamaya kosha, the sheath made of prana, to energize the physical body, which we call the annamaya kosha, the sheath made of food, to perform or avoid certain actions, in order that the stored karmas may thus be worked out. So quite the cosmic schema. That's another, again, a constantly reiterated theme throughout many Vedic texts, including the Bhagavad Gita, which is such a consolidating compendium of all of this cosmology. I recommend everybody give it a go. Now, these Maya Koshas, these 5 bodies, which are enumerated in the Taittiriya Upanishad, They nest within one another like Russian babushka dolls. When taken together as a whole, they compose a single human being. Physical gravity grasps the physical body. Mother Earth's gravity gathers to her all the beings who grow on her bosom. Just as human personalities reside within physical bodies, the corporeal planets act as physical bodies for the 9 deities who are the great graspers. Except for that of the sun and the moon, the physical gravity of the planets affects all beings on Earth to a fairly minimal degree. In our opinion, so this is them saying, some astrologers try to make some claims that the gravity of the planets is what affects Earth life. What the authors are saying is that, in our opinion, physical gravitation is the least likely field in which the causation of Jyotish operates. In fact, someone has calculated that the body of the doctor or midwife who delivers a child exerts a gravitational force on the child that is greater than any distant planet can deliver. Cool. That's a great point. Instead, the subtle and causal gravities of the 9 grahas influence the way in which we experience the results of our karmas by seizing and controlling our subtle and causal bodies. By analogy, although thought has minimal reality in the physical universe, it is the cause of most physical actions that most humans perform. So in the same way that thought is not physical, but it is the cause of physical actions to occur, in the same way, the movements of the grahas are centered on the thoughts of the universe, of karma, of solar system metaphysics, which are subtle first, in the same way that thoughts are subtle. You can't see them. But whatever these primordial, metaphysical, astrological motions are that happen at the solar system at any one time, these are like the thoughts of the universe, and the physical manifestation of the planets and life on Earth is a result of those subtler impulses. And therefore, physical gravity from the planets doesn't necessarily need to be the arbiter. We don't need it to find some scientific magnetic field operative occurring in order for us to get a grasp on Jyotish, any more than we need a physical explanation of thoughts in order to perceive why thoughts, but the nature of thoughts, the nature of psychology. So that was a little description of the grahas and what they are. Now this is a cool little part of the book that I think is very important. It's called the Ishta Devata. It's our next group subheading. This is a word that many people might not have heard about, but it's very useful in the context of anybody who wants to be an astrologer. The authors continue. It is the nature of the karmas themselves, dreda or fixed, dreda adreda, which is in the middle, fixed and non-fixed, or adreda, non-fixed, which determines how strongly a graha can grasp. For drida karmas, the grahas seize their prey and refuse to let go, while for adrida karmas, they can be pried loose with relative ease. Remedies are designed to prevent or to correct undesirable seizures, those which cause you to perform selfish evil karmas. Sometimes upayas encourage seizure by benefic grahas, which will keep your mind moving in a healthy direction. So upayas, the method of applying yourself to remedies or to mantras or to some kind of spiritual discipline or cultivation or practice. These upayas encourage you to be seized by a benefic graha, a positive graha, likely Venus or Jupiter, which will keep your mind moving in a healthy direction. Often the best remedy of all is to worship an Ishta Devata, a personal deity, which is the remedy Jyotishis themselves use to keep from being affected by the grahas in their work, because these Jyotishis are deeply engorging themselves and embodying and becoming subliminal agents for the agencies of these planets. And sometimes by this effect, by imposing what they think, a certain client needs, if a client is lacking Venus, the astrologer completely absorbs and sublimates the essence of Venus to the practitioner. Then the practitioner goes home with what they need, but now the residue of that consciousness is still stuck on the astrologer, so that, all this time the astrologer is trying to permit a juicy consciousness in the way that Venus is. The astrologer's Venus might be balanced and worked out already, but this extra Venus consciousness might make them extra horny or hungry or wanting to satisfy their senses in a way that they usually don't, because as an astrologer, again, they bring in these planetary energies in a way that can imbalance their own energy field. So they apply something called Ishta Devata. While Jyotishis of the earliest days relied on the Vedic deities as Ishta Devatas, today some people make one of the grahas into their Ishta Devata, while others prefer to worship an Ishta Devata who can control all 9 Caesars. And a few even make the Jyotir Vidya herself into their Ishta Devata, the living synaptic Vedic root that is the consciousness of Jyotish, the eye of the Veda. Some people consider this to be their Ishta Devata, so that no particular light overtakes their grounding in the all light. Now, because all humans, except for the finest of saints, always sit securely in the grasp of the grahas, the graha or grahas which have seized the client's mind may so perturb the Jyotishi's mind that the Jyotishi will proffer poor advice. This will in turn enhance the likelihood that the client will perform the action that is fated by those karmas. So long as an Ishta Devata possesses the Jyotishi, however, the client's grahas will be unable to do so, and this will provide the Jyotishi with a bigger perspective, a greater reality from which to advise the client. An Ishta Devata makes it easier to live a life in which you act of your own volition, instead of being perpetually driven by your karmas or by the karmas of others to act in frequently undesirable ways. Another reason why those who practice Jyotish must cultivate a relationship with a personal deity is that a Jyotishi is always coming to crossroads in readings at which 2 or more interpretations seem equally feasible. At these moments, an Ishta Devata can jump the gap in your model of reality and flash you with the right answer. Fluctuations in the mind occur because of the continual interchange of sattva, rajas, and tamas. When you worship an Ishta Devata, your focus restrains those fluctuations, which permits a little spark of reality to flow from your deity to you. It is this spark which appears in your awareness as intuition. The word most commonly used for intuition today in India is in fact Ishtabala, which means literally the strength of Ishta, the deity. Bala means strength. Ishta means deity, internal, universal element of pure intelligence and awareness consciousness. So, the word for intuition in India these days is Ishta Bala, the strength of Ishta, deity consciousness in you. It was this strength that the rishis who originated Jyotish tapped into in order to collect and systematize their astrological information and intuition. Though the worship of an Ishta Devata may seem to some an exercise in idolatry, idol as in I-D-O-L-A-T-R-Y, idolatry, worshiping an idol. Really, though, the deities are really representatives of the one reality. When you worship a personal deity, you indirectly worship the absolute one, the singularity who hides behind the mask of the deity's personality, especially if you have that consciousness. I'm sure there are some people who worship Ganesha and don't recognize Vishnu behind Ganesha's face, or any deity for that matter. Worship of deities really means appreciating them for the skill with which they play their roles in the cosmic drama. That's a nice way to put it. It's interesting. Instead of trying to control them, it's appreciating, actively appreciating the roles they play in the cosmic drama. You can also worship the one directly, but the one is undifferentiated, unqualified, and absolute, while the world that a Jyotishi lives in is relative, qualified, and differentiated. The personal relationship you create with an Ishta Devata plugs you in to a personal relationship with the one reality, the one source of all questions and all answers. But intuition alone is insufficient for the practice of Jyotish, for unless you are a great saint, you will be unable to call on your deity for help and advice 24 hours a day, even if you should want to do so. And besides, in the words of our Jyotish Guru, the Ishta Devata is busy. Call on him or her only in an emergency. The seers systematized Jyotish for beings like you and me who have to use rational methods and intuitive powers to complement one another. And only those who become adept at both of these approaches to divination can ever become fit receptacles for the Jyotir Vidya. Rational methods and intuitive powers to complement each other. It's the person who becomes adept at rational mentality of the figures given by sages gone before, as well as our intuitive powers to tap into that vidya which they embodied the lessons through. You have to see the central current which gave the forms, and don't let the finger pointing at the moon. Don't mistake for the finger pointing at the moon for the moon itself. Don't mistake the forms for the intuitive consciousness which gave them. So that's why Jyotish is always and everywhere a combination of intuitive and rational approach. So I hope you guys dug that. Stay tuned. I said a few episodes ago that we were halfway through chapter 2, and that wasn't quite correct. But like, we're on the last, this next episode will be the last bit of chapter 2. And then we can stay tuned even more, because after this, at some point, you guys can keep watching, and we will have gotten into the chapter 3 where we'll finally start getting into the essential astronomy and the explanations and the derivations of astrology, and getting out of the background philosophy and more into the applied science. But we got one more to go before that. This next episode is going to be called Jyotish in Action. And I hope you guys join me in checking it out before we go into the guts of applying the science of astrology. Thanks for watching, folks. I'm Dustin Cormier for How to Rock Astrology. See you guys on the next one.